driver in the 1950s, and he was famously known for having over 100 victories in Formula One with his disability of only having one hand.
He was one of the pioneers, one of the first people, disabled people, to take part in motorsport.
Where Archie Scott Brown was always credited for was due to his disability of having one hand. His over 100 victories came of driving a Formula One car which was not adapted in any way, shape or form.
He overcame some massive disabilities and also was a proven race winner.
When Archie Scott Brown was racing in the season of 1954, a complaint was filed by the Jaguar team about Archie being a one-handed disabled driver, and basically the argument was that because he wasn't able-bodied like the other drivers, he shouldn't be allowed to compete. Sir Stirling Moss, who was one of the Jaguar drivers, actually threatened to leave Jaguar if Jaguar didn't withdraw the complaint.
Archie was able to prove that disability isn't a barrier to participating in motorsport and having success on the track.
I'm the founder and director of the Disabled Racing Drivers Car Club, and also a charity called DRDCC Raceability. We are now getting the connections, mainly from the bike side actually, because a lot of them become disabled, can't race a bike anymore, so what else can we do? Well, we can go and do some car racing, what they want to do to get into motorsport, and how I can support them, connect them with people. We can't connect them at the minute financially because we need the finances as well.
If you were, for example, in the military and you were left with an injury through being in the military, when you come out of the military, there's quite often different forms of help and different paths of getting you back on track, sort of thing. So when it comes to a disabled driver competing with an able-bodied driver, the vehicles are quite easily and effectively adapted, so there is no difference in performance between a disabled driver or an able-bodied driver. They are both completely capable of doing exactly the same thing and competing against each other. For disabled people to sort of gain funding to get them back into the motorsport, there isn't really any source of funding there at the moment.
Well, so to raise finance, we do it through the track days and through the charity event.
When it comes to the motorsport world, if you were to be involved with an accident at any point in your life with regard to motorsport or not, trying to get back into the motorsport world, there's not yet readily help available to get people back into that position.
You've got the passion to do it, and the will, and the backing from your family and your friends, and obviously your sponsors as well. You can achieve anything.
You kind of got to be, you've got to do it yourself. You'd have to find ways of people modifying your car for you, or there's nothing there, no one for them to turn to go to help. The cars have been modified to suit a disabled driver. So the way these cars have been modified, they've got hand controls, the car operates with an automatic gearbox, and then we're left to modify the controls for the brake and the accelerator. Right, this is another drift car that's come in. It's another one that's come in to have a conversion. We're going to be putting hand controls in this vehicle, so it can be used by a disabled driver. So we're going to talk you through the basics on how we do it. The cars have been modified to suit a disabled driver. So the way these cars have been modified, they've got hand controls, the car operates with an automatic gearbox. Right, so this particular car, what we're going to do, we are going to fit a steel bracket down here. And for the controls, we're going to have a push bar going for the brake pedal, and then on the steel bracket that we're going to have here, we're going to have a handle with a control on. And what we're going to do, we're going to lengthen the accelerator cable that runs through to the engine, where it would normally stop at the accelerator pedal, but we're going to put it onto a handle here with a lever, so the driver can accelerate with his hand and then push the bar forward to use the brake. And the car's drive is left down to the automatic gearbox, and the driver with his other hand can then use his other hand to steer. So that's how the car, it's quite a simple and effective technique, but that's what we're trying to say, is how easy cars can be modified to get disabled drivers back into the motorsport world.
I run my own motorsport business, Spirit Motorsports. I've been in the motorsport industry for a number of years. mainly on the public relations and marketing side, driver management, etc.
Our drivers have got to be in a very fit state for this. Technically, the drivers, what they're doing with their arms is twice of that of a normal driver.
My aim is to follow in Archie's footsteps. Archie suffered from very bad hands, something that I know all about all too well, through my condition Charcot-Marie Tooth.
It's hard to get into when you're disabled because of the actual drug element and your disability, and a lot of race teams haven't got the time to get you fit.
The training is really important because when you're in the race car, the body is under a huge amount of physical pressure.
Because they've got to be able to think a lot quicker, they've got to be mentally and physically fit to keep up. So there is a good fitness level that needs to be achieved in order for the drivers to achieve what they need to do.
You've got heat coming from the engine that affects the body. So to avoid physical fatigue, a lot of race drivers use cool suits. They train in saunas to become acclimatized to the heat conditions. Okay, well, we use the sauna as part of our training regime. Normally I'd be in here with a crash helmet and a race suit on, and I'd be sweating a lot with my fireproof underwear on as well. So I'm actually pretty chill in here today. One of the things we use is it gets really, really hot at Daytona and Le Mans because you've got a lot of engine heat coming through as well as heat from the sun. So what we do is we prepare our body by spending a lot of time wearing our race suits in the sauna, complete with helmet, as part of our training regime.
So what we're finding is the biggest problem with the sport now is it's trying to find the help for these drivers and the funding, making it readily available, and that's something that we are looking to change.
Young Elliott, he got back in a motorcycle race last year, but he now wants to get into rallycross. He's been and had a look at rallycross, and if he makes it, he'll be the first disabled driver to go into rallycross. Not the FIA series, which is the international series. It'll be the British round.
As a mechanic who's worked with a disabled motorsport team, I think there should be more funds available for them. There should be more help for these drivers, so they can get back on the track and do what they are truly capable of achieving.
It's about sharing knowledge, sharing experience, and helping those people to achieve their dream.